Today, we're looking at some sources that make a pretty interesting argument. Language isn't really shaping us, it's more like a window.
Exactly. A window into, well, how we think, our cognitive setup, and also how we structure our social lives, our relationships.
And a key piece of evidence for this window idea is how hard it is to actually control language. You just can't legislate it.
Right, no matter how much official bodies try. And the classic example has to be the French Academy, l'Académie
Oh,
Française.
yeah. These are the guys, the honorary perpetual secretary apparently has a uniform worth something like $68,000,
That's the one. And they have two main jobs: compile the official French dictionary.
which they started in, what, 1930?
Yeah,
And are still only on the letter P.
still on P. And their other job is to tell French people how to speak French. Like, they prefer courriel instead of email.
How's that working out for them?
Well, as one source puts it, people just gaily ignore them, which kind of proves the point, right? Language bubbles up from how people actually use it, not from decrees. The dictionary will be out of date before they even finish it.
Okay, so let's dig into that bubbling up. First, the cognitive side. How does language show us how we think?
Well, think about verbs and sentence structures. There are these deep rules we all know but maybe can't explain, like the dative construction.
You mean like give a muffin to a mouse versus give a mouse a muffin? They seem to mean the same thing.
They seem to, but that's the puzzle. They're actually not quite synonymous, and that difference, that tiny difference, shows us something about the underlying conceptual structure, what some call mentalese.
Mentalese, like the language of thought itself.
Pretty much. It's the brain's way of coding meaning. So give X to Y, like give the muffin to the mouth, that maps onto a thought like cause X to go to Y. It's about movement.
Right.
But give Y X, give the mouse the muffin, that maps onto cause Y to have X. It's about possession changing.
Ah, so it's motion versus possession.
Yeah.
That's the hidden difference.
Exactly. And you can test this. It's the Chicago test.
Right. I can say, I drove the car to Chicago. That's motion.
Makes perfect sense.
But I definitely can't say, I drove Chicago the car.
Nope, sounds completely wrong, because Chicago, the city, can't possess the car in the way the grammar implies. The concept just doesn't fit.
So our grammar actually reflects these really basic concepts. Space, movement, possession, causation.
And we take that basic toolkit, built for dealing with, physical objects and locations, and we apply it metaphorically to think about abstract things.
Like saying someone went from sick to well, using movement in space to talk about a change in health state.
Precisely. We map abstract ideas onto these concrete Kantian-style concepts, and this flexibility in framing and construing reality. That's also where a lot of arguments come from.
You mean how we describe the same event can reveal different underlying concepts?
Absolutely. Think about contentious issues. Is someone ending a pregnancy or killing a fetus? Is a military action invading Iraq or liberating Iraq? The words chosen aren't just labels, they're attempts to impose a particular conceptual frame.
Okay, that makes sense. And that ties into the social window of language too, right?
Yeah.
If we're so precise underneath, why are we often so indirect,
Yeah.
especially with sensitive stuff?
Yeah, why do we say things like, if you could possibly pass the guacamole, that would be awesome, instead of just, pass the guacamole?
It seems inefficient. Why veil things like requests or even bribes or threats?
Well, the theory here is it's all about negotiating relationships. Social life requires us to constantly figure out what kind of relationship we're in with someone. Alan Fiske talks about types like communality, dominance, reciprocity, sexuality.
Getting the type wrong is awkward. Like,
Well,
you wouldn't use communal sharing language to ask your boss for a raise, usually.
Exactly. It creates friction. So indirectness, like in that guacamole request, is a way to manage that uncertainty.
How does being vague help?
It creates what game theorists call plausible deniability. The literal meaning of your words, if you could pass, signals the safest possible relationship. It doesn't presume dominance like a direct command would.
Ah, so the literal words offer an out.
Right. But the implicated meaning, I want the guacamole, is still understood by the listener. It lets both people navigate the situation without explicitly forcing a relationship definition that might be wrong or uncomfortable. Think of the movie Fargo, the veiled bribe attempts.
Yeah, the guy offers the cop a car, kind of vaguely. The honest cop can ignore it. The dishonest one maybe takes the hint.
Precisely. The vagueness is a feature, not a bug. It allows for negotiation and deniability in tricky social situations.
So wrapping this up for you listening, language isn't just words. It's this incredible reflection of how we mentally carve up the world: motion, possession, causation, and how we navigate our complex social landscape using layers of meaning.
It's a collective human creation, constantly evolving, showing us both the nuts and bolts of our cognition and the rules of our social games.
Which leaves us with a final thought to consider. If so much of our higher thought, things like mathematics, law, even physics, seems built metaphorically on these basic concepts evolved for dealing with, well, rocks, tools, and moving around, how much of what we think of as profound abstract reasoning is really just clever applications of our Caveman toolkit?